Hey, welcome to Totally Useful Redstone Designs. Today I'm going to show you this villager breeder I made for Donut SMP. All right, let's get into how this thing works. You didn't know a Minecraft day is 20 minutes, and villagers can only breed during the daytime, so they really only have 10 minutes of breeding time. And a cooldown is 5 minutes, so you're going to get 2 babies per couple per day. So this one will give you 4 babies. And to fill up the 40 design is going to be 200 minutes of breeding, which is a little over 3 hours. All right, let's go over some of the features I added here, like this automatic zombification chamber. Once a baby villager grows up, he's going to go into the water stream and then be turned into a zombie by this guy. An important note here is he lands on this pressure plate, which counts entities. Once we hit about 23 entities right before the cramming limit, it fires this repeater, which turns off the breeding system. You can also manually turn it off with this lever here, which pushes the piston out and blocks the villager's view of the beds and no longer allows them to breed. Next feature here is the automatic villager ejection feature. So whenever you have your villagers and you're ready to send them out to their workstations, you right click this note block and the villager automatically gets ejected into his workspace. You can send as many villagers as you want out and they will always be ejected into their own personal workspaces. The way this works is this pressure plate right here. Once the villager lands on it, it deactivates this torch, which deactivates the activator rail. One more cool feature here is the automatic minecart return. Once the villager is sent out and the minecart makes its way across the track, you will see it come here, hit this cactus, and be placed back into the hopper chain. So you don't need to constantly make minecarts. Another feature here is this automatic kill chamber. Let's say you have all your workstations filled up, but you sent too many villagers. Once he makes it all the way around the track, he'll get ejected into the lava and be taken out of business. Villagers absolutely will not path through powdered snow, but this will give you ease of access without accidentally trampling your crops. One of the other features here is the ability to convert about 8 zombies at a time. Just go into the middle of about 8 of them, look directly up, splash yourself, and you should be able to just golden apple all these guys. And they will eventually turn. If you didn't know, curing the villagers gives you the discount so you can trade more stuff for less. Also, if you have a raid farm, you can get yourself Hero of the Village 5 and get even steeper discounts. This design also locks the villagers in place so you can break and replace their workstations as much as you want before you trade with them to find the trades you like. Also put this water stream here. That way, after you're done trading the items that you want, you can empty your inventory easily. And it gets automatically collected in the end. Of course, you can expand this storage as needed. Just a note, if you're building this above ground, you're going to want to cover the glass with solid blocks. That way your zombies don't burn up. The only real gotcha in this build is to make sure you do not place any extra blocks near the activator rails, and you place the glass as I have it, or else you run the risk of the zombies ejecting outside of their pod. There's really only one Donut SMP specific issue that I have with this, and if you're loading in sometimes or the server updates, the villagers will phase through the trapdoor here. I don't really have a great solution for that. It hasn't been much of an issue for me. What I usually do is just build the rails and send villagers back up after I cure them again. But if you have anything, just let me know in the comments. If you really want to get villagers faster, you just keep stacking the farm. This will give you about 6 villagers a day. The 80 villager design is exactly the same thing. We just stacked another row of villagers on top. The only difference here is the water row doesn't exist, and you can throw what you want against the fence, and it'll automatically be put into the downstream collection. If you accidentally hit a villager and ruin your reputation to where they start increasing the prices, just take a lava bucket and kill the villager, then send a new one out. And you can also see if you have the hero of the village effect, they will give you free items. I did try to expand the design out. I do have this villager iron farm working properly, and it gets about 400 ingots an hour. However, in Donut SMP, whenever the game reloads or you log in or it updates, for some reason it just breaks these villager farms and I need to replace all the villagers. But I've ran this for 100 days in a creative world without an issue. I also developed a counter system that way whenever it hits the maximum amount of entities, it sends all your villagers out at once. But in Donut SMP, if you wait too long, they will despawn, so I didn't think it was worth it. When you see those lightning bolts like that, that means the villagers are failing to breed. Generally, that means there's either not enough beds or they can't reach their own bed. And right now it's because they can't reach their own bed because I've blocked it off. So if you see those, one of the easiest solutions is just to break all your beds and replace them so the villagers can relink. So you're probably asking yourself, how the heck do you actually get a villager on Donut SMP? Well, it's not easy, I'll tell you that. But what I do is once you dig out your area that you're going to build your farm in, you're going to set up some snow golems like this. So the point of the snow golems is they actually just damage the zombie without actually damaging the zombie. Another useful tool here is called mini HUD, when you can create two shapes. The can spawn sphere, this is mobs that will where the mobs can spawn from you, and the despawn sphere is where they will stop spawning. So your digging out area needs to be at least as big as the can spawn sphere. Then mobs will spawn outside of it. And the despawn sphere is 128 blocks away, which I'll show you right now. It's pretty far. You don't need to dig out the entire area, but I just want you to show you that mobs can spawn at least this far away in case you keep seeing no spot mobs will spawn around you. Your next step is to actually turn on mob spawning. So let's go ahead and do that. Now we're starting to see some mob spawn. Oh, here comes some zombies already. So what I'm going to do now is build myself a few blocks up and let the snow golems do their job. Oh, look, there's a zombie villager already. That is actually amazing. So what I would do now in this case is I want to see if this zombie villager holds an item. So actually, we just got two zombie villagers right now. The entire point of the reinforcement mechanic is so the zombie villagers get hit and call other zombie villagers. So now we could actually turn mob spawns off. Your next step here is to get rid of all the mobs you don't want. So that villager, for example, we definitely want him. So we're going to use a bow and get rid of the rest of these zombies. Let's see if that zombie holds an item. Yes, that zombie holds an item. We can definitely use him. Now that you have the zombies that you want, we need to go ahead and capture them in boats. That way we can cure them later on. They're not going to de-aggro these snow golems, so we'll probably end up killing them. And you have to be careful if you have Thorn's armor on, because if you do, you might end up killing the zombies you want to keep. So what I'll do now is I'll just punch this zombie villager into his boat, make sure he doesn't suffocate. A pro tip here is if he is taking a lot of damage, let's just grab us a harming potion, and that harming potion will heal him up. And actually, I'll probably just do the same thing here to kill the snow golem. Now the zombies love me. Let's get the two villagers together. Again, you don't want to go too close. So once your villagers convert, remember to stay around them so they don't attack each other when one of them converts and the other one doesn't. It's time to either get them in minecarts or leave them in boats. It really depends on your preference. I kind of like minecarts, so what I'll do is I'll set up a little enclosure like this, where the minecart can just keep going around and around and eventually collect the villager. For the zombie, it's pretty much the same deal. If you hold sprint and punch forward the boat, it'll move it into the same area. Let's move this out of the way, close it off. Now he's trapped inside. You just send your minecart in if the minecart wants to work. Now you have your zombie. Donut has this weird bug where villagers and minecarts sometimes can't be pushed. What I usually do is set up a powered rail with an empty minecart, and hopefully it goes the right way. There we go. Push them like that. Now that you've seen how to get the zombie in the minecart, this is how you get him into the correct position. Break the pressure plate, put a block, then send him on his merry way. Break, 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 and corner him in. Then come back to this side, and don't forget to put the pressure plate back. See how he's not on the pressure plate? That's what we want. If you're curious how much profit this is going to make on Donut SMP, then it's really going to be based off of which villagers you choose to use. I'm going to put up a screenshot right now of my favorite villager and what I was able to get with one trading session, having Hero of the Village 5, so we have maximum discounts. Honestly, those numbers are a bit too high. What you really want to do anytime somebody tells you how much a farm makes per hour is you want to go to one of the Donut SMP auction websites and track average order price. Because I could easily sit here and lie to you and tell you you're going to get that much per hour. And you're definitely not always going to get it. It just happens to be the current price right now. Honestly, one of my biggest pet peeves for these other Donut SMP YouTubers who make farms, they just give you whatever number they get and go about their business, which is fine, but it's also disingenuous because it really depends on what the market is giving that day and how popular the farm gets. You could easily see this super simple farm flooding the market and completely changing the emerald prices. But thanks for checking out my first YouTube video. If you want to see any more of my totally useful redstone designs, let me know and I'll drop the next video soon. I have automatic tree farms, self-refueling farms, all kinds of farms. I generally make them for fun, not necessarily chasing the most profit. But this one is actually pretty profitable. Anyway, leave a like and a comment if you want to see more.